everyone. Thanks for watching MGS Coaching Football again. Really appreciate it, and I hope non subscribers will push that button. Today, in my continuing sim pressure disguises, I'm going to introduce our first double plug, and it happens to be a double inside linebacker plug. Okay, and so it's called Mabel, Mike and Backer. That's our double A gap. Why we call it to the mic, I'll go through that with you in the presentation. It is a double plug. We do not say double plug. Okay, that's for you. Okay, it's a simulated pressure. In this video, we're using our 5 front system, which means we're in our base 3 down package. Okay, then I'll go through the very basic items on the agenda so you have a general understanding of how we teach it, because this is one of our base pressures in our plug family. And then starting here at Pacific and going Atlantic, Mass, and Cali clockwise, I'll show you how the same simulated pressure can look so different to an offense, okay? And some of the tweaks that are involved, depending on where the guys are lined up, in order to get them in position to execute their plug blitz. All right? So first up, all right, what is a double plug concept? In this case, it is 2 inside linebackers plugging each A gap. Okay, so by design, in our base 3-4, they plug the A gap on the side they're lined up on, but when we're doing it out of our simulated pressure disguises, one of them ends up, in this case, the backer plugging the opposite A gap. Okay. So the number 2 one's the most important item on the agenda. Okay. At the college level, whether it's Division III or FBS and all the levels in between, okay, we have spring. We have an elongated preseason, right? We have more time on football. And when I say that, I'm talking to any high school coaches across America or maybe even the world. All right. Some states in America, they have spring, although I think that number is very, very small now. You have the ability to practice during summers, okay, and you might even have a long preseason, okay? But whether you do or don't, you can still accomplish this. And what I mean is, you have to recognize that you're putting the guys in a place that's not their comfort zone. And when I say that, I mean by alignment. So don't assume that they hear Mabel like they're going to know exactly what to do, right? This is one of our base pressures. Yeah, but you're lining them in a place they never line up in and asking them to execute the same stunt. So if you make the assumption that they'll just do it, then you're going to have problems. Okay, so this is how we handle that. We start off by acknowledging, yeah, we put you in a different place. We know you're not in your comfort zone. Different starting point. You got to acknowledge that right up front. Hey, look, guys, this is one of our favorite, especially short yardage plugs. And we're going to execute it, but we're going to execute it with you lined up as a 5 technique. Wah! Right? That's out of your comfort zone. So acknowledge it up front. And then from there, just get them to realize it's the same blitz, it's the same endpoint. Okay? So it's a little bit more complicated because of our sim pressure disguises, but eventually they'll get it. So the other point in different starting point, same ending point, pun intended, me using the word point again, I could be a little more creative, is go slow. Walk, 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 and then it seems like they're starting to get it, then you can kind of go half speed, half speed, half speed. If you try and do it full speed right out of the chute, oh boy. And if you hurt their confidence from the start, you're going to have a hard time building it up. So that's how we do it. Doesn't mean it's the perfect way to do it, but that's what we do, and that's what I would advise. Okay? And then the third key item here on the agenda is what's the effect on the coverage? Okay? So for us, we talk about 3 receivers, right? What's the worst case scenario coverage-wise? So for us, be 4 wide receivers, 3 by 1. So our rule is simple. Coverage spin is to the 3 receiver side. That is our 3-by-1 rule. Another way to say it, spin to the 3 receiver side, automatic. Doesn't matter where the blitz is coming from. We're going to spin to the 3. So when I say that, we're going to be in our predictable 2-high look, middle of the field open. That's our disguise. And then when the ball snapped, we'll spin. Or we'll spin the other way, right? Depends on where your 3 receivers are. Okay? So again, you need to simplify it. You need to be flexible and versatile, and it needs to fit in your existing base system. Don't recreate the wheel. Because now, right out of the chute, the kids are going to go, I don't care if they're 22 years old, 14, 15, 20, doesn't matter. They're going to say, wait a minute, right? So try and make sure you cover all, in other words, cross your T's and dot your I's. Okay, cover your backside. All right. So purposefully, to show you, we're going to have 4 wide receivers. We're going to keep the 3 wide receivers to our left in all 4 diagrams so you can see how it works, even when the pressure's going from the right. Okay? So the first one here, in the Pacific look, we got the Mike and backer over here. So it's a Ringo, Ringo, Ringo. But because the 3 receivers are left, it's a Louie, Louie, Louie. So I'll take care of coverage first. Corners have ace, which means they got number 1. On the snap, Falcon will spin down. He's got deuce, 2. The dime's lined up on the side of the 3 receivers, so he's screaming Trey, 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 which means he's got number 3. The whip safety in this case spins middle of the field. He's the middle of the 3rd defender, so there's the coverage part of it. As far as the running back's concerned, since both inside linebackers and the dime in this case, are not available to cover the running back, that leaves our rover. So he's Heisman. That means he's got the back. Boom, done. Okay? So he's got the running back. And on the snap, if he sees the running back running away from him, he's got to run full speed at linebacker depth to cover that back. Okay? So now let's talk about the pressure itself. I have first and first here for the defensive line because they've got to move to the right. I've got second and second for our 2 inside linebackers. The first thing that's going to happen as far as the effect on the pressure, since both linebackers are up on the line of scrimmage, right, simulating pressure on the snap, they both have to pop off. So the pop technique, it's on all my other videos, so I'll just quickly. Their inside foot's up. Their weight's on the big bone of their big toe. They're going to drive hard, pop off the line of scrimmage, shuffle, shuffle. So now what has to happen, since the Mike's on the right, it's Ringo, that means the backer has to blitz the opposite A gap. So he has to also work himself over in a position to plug the opposite A gap. So, yeah, there's a chance you got 2 linebackers working across the formation on the snap of the football. Yes. Okay? So now, the stud, the defensive end's got to get to his C gap. The nose has to get to the B gap to the call. So that's 1, 2, 3 gap move. You got it. That's our long stick. That's an extra long stick, right? Because he's a 3 tech on the other side. So that also means the end on this side's got to make sure he's got outside cage. Okay? So now what will happen in all likelihood is the backer will execute his plug before the Mike will, waiting for the nose to come over. But ultimately, we have our double A gap plug pressure. And that's what it should look like. Okay? Over here in the Atlantic front, now the 2 linebackers and the rover are to the 3 receiver side with the dime away. Coverage first, ace, spin on the snap, deuce. Now the rover is Trey. See over here, he's away from the 3 receivers, so he was Heisman. Now he's to the 3 receivers, he's Trey. Now the dime is away, so he's the Heisman. And he's in a better position, but he still might have to move to the opposite side of formation on the snap if the running back is running away from him. No big deal. So because the linebackers are on the left now, it's a lucky. So we're going to get the same pop off, pop, move in position. Now it's the end, working the C gap. It's the nose to the left B gap, excuse me. Now the studs working for outside cage. Again, the likelihood is the backer will be plugging A gap first and the mic plugging second, but either way, there's our double A gap plug. And I'm sorry, I forgot over here. The boundary corner is still ace and the whip is still middle third spinning on the snap of the football. My apologies. Down here on mass now with the Mike linebacker, excuse me, stacked over the ball. We got Liz again, so we got Louie, we got ace, spin down, deuce. Now the dime to the side of the three receivers is Trey again. We have the boundary ace, I won't forget, right? Whip, spin middle, but now the rover and the dime are on the side, so now the rover is Heisman, but he's on the side of the receivers. He takes Heisman because he's the inside of the two. He's the 1-5 technique on the tackle. Okay? So now you see second, first. You see Mike is third. What does that mean? I'm going to explain it to you right now. So now just the backer pops off. Now you see the end. Okay? It's Ringo, but he still has to get to his C gap here, because that's where he would be, right? Nose is lined. Oops, I don't want to use the blue. Nose is lined up in the B gap he's going to be in, Ringo, so he just shoots it, which is a whole different look. Stud's there. He's outside cage. So now what's going to happen, there's no question that this is going to be bam, bam, and by the time he goes, he'll end up being the third one in the equation. There's a chance they might go together, so don't get wigged out about second and third. But he should unquestionably go first on this side where he belongs. Remember, non-subscribers, here's a freebie. When we're in Mass or Cali with the mic stacked, any mic pressures are always a Ringo for us. Okay? But there's a whole different look there compared to the other two. Flip now to Cali, last but not least. We got ace, spin deuce. Whoa. Both outside linebackers are away from the three receivers. What do? We have our safety take care of it. He's Trey. He uses our poach technique that we use in our check pit. It's part of our match quarters 3x1. So on the snap of the football, he's working here. He'll poach 3 vertical, and yeah, he's got a long way to go, any kind of a short route, but that's his job. You always got to worry first, how do you cover vertical? So at least that's what we do. Okay, boundary corner, ace. So now if he's poaching 3, we take our dime, who's a hybrid, or in this case would be a 5th defensive back, and on the snap of the football, he is running deep to the middle of the field. I mean, he's a DB. Okay, that leaves the rover now as Heisman. And so if he needs to pop off and get depth behind the mic, don't let him cross in front of the mic, then he'll do that depending on what the running back does. Okay, so again, following with Ringo, this time he's definitely going to be third because the backer's going to pop. He's going to go in front of the mic. The mic's going to let him go in front. Don't force him behind. And that's because if the rover's behind, we don't want the backer and the rover banging into each other. Mike's toes are at 4. This can happen. So he's going to go in front. The stud and the nose have to go first. So the stud is there. Since it's a Ringo, nose has to get to the right B gap, so he goes there. So now the backer plugs second, and then the mic It's going to plug third, and that's how it's going to look. There's a lot of stuff going on. You got people going in opposite directions. That alone should confuse the daylights out of the protection. Okay? And so now for us, anytime we cover down all 5 offensive linemen, we're either going to get pure straight man protection or we're going to get full slide. And then that means you got a running back who has to block the edge, C-gap. And that eliminates him from being a check release guy. Okay, so that's what we prepare for. That's what we teach our guys for. So of the 4 different looks, excuse me, this is the one that if you're on offense, holy moly, guys are going all over the place. Okay? So I hope this was helpful. You have any questions about anything that we've talked about here, please reach out to me at CoachMJSullivan@gmail.com because I'd love to talk football with you.